Oh my God, you will not believe what happened. Tell me everything.
One night in Seoul, a woman was saved by a stranger. She didn't know he was the Mafia king, but the other thing she didn't know will shock you. If you believe love can still find you, no matter how old you are or how many times life's betrayed you, subscribe to this channel, stay with me, and let's feel this story together. Imagine getting attacked by thugs after this party, Mina said, tugging playfully at Aisha's sleeve as they stepped out of the sleek black car. Her tone was light, teasing, but her eyes, those mischievous brown eyes, held a trace of seriousness that made Aisha laugh. Oh, please, Aisha chuckled, brushing off the idea with a wave of her hand. Who would even bother me here? Everyone's too busy trying to look expensive. Mina laughed too, linking arms with her. You never know. Seoul nights can surprise you. The club shimmered before them, a building made of glass and golden light. Music pulsed from within, soft at first, then louder as the doors opened and laughter spilled out into the night. Aisha felt her nerves flutter. This was her first real night out since moving to Korea, her first time not feeling like an outsider in a foreign city. Inside, everything gleamed. Crystal lights reflected off sequin dresses. Waiters glided through the crowd with trays of champagne. Mina seemed to know everyone. She introduced Aisha to faces that blurred together in the noise, smiling idols, young entrepreneurs, and a few too handsome men who stared a moment too long. Aisha smiled through it all, her English-accented Korean drawing polite curiosity and warm laughter. Mina hovered protectively, translating when needed, making sure she never felt lost. The two moved together easily, like sisters who'd known each other for years instead of weeks. Hours slipped by. The music softened. The lights dimmed. People began to leave in small, laughing groups. Aisha was sipping the last of her drink when Mina's phone rang. Her expression shifted, not alarm, but something close. Sorry, I need to take this, she said quickly, squeezing Aisha's hand. Just stay here, okay? I'll be gone for 5 minutes. Go ahead, Aisha said, smiling. I'll be fine. But minutes stretched into longer ones. The bar staff began clearing tables. The glow of the event faded, replaced by the cool quiet of a Seoul midnight. Aisha decided to wait outside. The air was crisp, laced with a faint smell of rain. She adjusted her coat and started walking toward the main street, her heels clicking softly on the pavement. That's when she noticed it. Footsteps behind her. Slow, steady, matching her pace. Her pulse quickened. She turned once, briefly, 3 men, shadows in dark jackets, loitering too close. She told herself it was nothing. She walked faster, and so did they. The streetlight flickered. Her breath came short. When one of the men called out in rough Korean, she broke into a run. The street stretched endlessly, her heels clattering on the wet pavement. The men's voices grew louder, echoing in the alley like a chase scene she couldn't escape. Then, a sharp engine roar. Headlights cut through the dark, blinding white, slicing the shadows. A black car screeched to a halt between her and the thugs. The door swung open. Get in, a man's voice ordered.
Come. Low.
Absolute. Aisha hesitated, then saw the men retreat a step at the sound of his tone. Without thinking, she dove inside. The door slammed shut. The driver, tall, sharp-featured, his face half-lit by the dashboard glow, didn't look at her. His hands were steady on the wheel as he accelerated down the narrow road. Are you hurt? He asked finally, eyes fixed ahead. No, she stammered, heart still racing. I thank you. I didn't know what to. He gave a brief nod, jaw tightening. Don't walk alone here again. Silence followed. Only the hum of the tires filled the space. When they reached her building, he stopped the car without a word. She turned to thank him again, but he was already looking past her, scanning the street, alert, like a man used to danger. Good night, he said simply. She stepped out, trembling slightly. Sorry I didn't get your name, she was saying when the car drove off. She exhaled for what felt like the first time in minutes. Oh, wow, she said, shaking her head. Moments later, Mina's voice broke through the quiet. Aisha. She came running, face pale, phone clutched tight in her hand. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I got caught up. Are you okay? What happened? Aisha managed a shaky laugh. Some guys followed me, but someone helped me.
A man.
I don't even know his name. Mina wrapped her arms around her tightly. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I should have been there. Aisha felt the warmth of her friend's embrace, the kind that anchored her back to safety. She smiled faintly against Mina's shoulder. It's okay. I'm safe now. Across the street, unseen by either of them, Jahun's car idled in the shadows. His eyes watched the two women, Aisha clinging to Mina, Mina whispering comfort, and for a brief moment, something softened in his gaze. Then it hardened again, the softness swallowed by something darker. He turned the key, and the car slipped quietly into the night. What they didn't know was that fate had already begun its work. The next morning, Seoul feels heavier than usual, or maybe it's just Aisha's heart. She wakes to the sound of the city, the smell of rain against the window, and the memory of him, the stranger with sharp eyes and a calm that didn't belong to this world. She doesn't even know his name, but his voice keeps echoing in her head. At the boutique, she tries to focus on the sketches spread across her desk, but her mind drifts back to the slight nod, the quiet command in his voice when he told her to be careful. Mina notices her zoning out and bursts into laughter. Yeah, earth to Aisha. Mina leans across the counter, waving a hand in front of her friend's face. You've been staring at the same dress design for 10 minutes. Don't tell me you're thinking about that mysterious man again. Aisha rolls her eyes, blushing slightly. I don't even know him. He just helped me. Mina smirks, biting her lip playfully. Helped you? Girl, the man rescued you. I'm telling you, if he's that fine and that rich, he's definitely hiding something. Maybe he's married or a spy or... Mina. Aisha groans, tossing a fabric swatch at her. Can you stop with your K-drama theories for 1 second? But Mina just laughs, spinning dramatically in her chair. Her energy fills the room. Goofy, loud, and chaotic in the best way. Aisha smiles despite herself. That's what Mina does best. She makes the world lighter, even when it's falling apart. Still, when Aisha closes the boutique that evening, she finds herself checking the streets, half hoping, half afraid she'll see him again. And then fate answers. 2 nights later, she's at a charity gala, an event she'd been invited to through one of her clients. The ballroom glows with chandeliers, music floating like perfume. She feels out of place among the polished guests, her simple black gown whispering elegance without wealth. She's walking toward the refreshment table when she freezes. There he is, across the room, dressed in a tailored suit, hair slicked back, eyes as sharp as glass.
Jahun.
He's not mingling like the others. He's scanning the room, silent, observant, dangerous in his stillness. Their eyes meet. For a moment, the world stops. He starts walking toward her, every step measured. You again, he says quietly when he reaches her, his voice low, smooth like smoke. She swallows, trying not to tremble. I never got to thank you. He tilts his head slightly, studying her. You don't owe me thanks, but I want to, she insists. You helped me when you didn't have to. His gaze softens for the briefest moment, then he steps back, putting distance between them. Some people don't like being helped by men like me. Before she can ask what he means, a staff member calls his name. Security consultant. The words flash on the man's badge pinned to his suit jacket.
So he's not just a guest.
He's working. When she turns to find him again, he's already gone. That night, as she walks home, her phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. You shouldn't be seen with him. She frowns. Another message follows almost instantly. You don't know who he really is. Her chest tightens. She looks around, the empty street suddenly feeling too wide, too quiet. The next day, Mina notices her pale face. Aisha, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Aisha tells her about the messages, the strange warnings. Mina's laughter fades, her eyes narrow. You think it's that guy? The one from the gala? I don't know, Aisha whispers. But something doesn't feel right. Later that evening, Jahun shows up at the boutique. He looks tired, his expression unreadable. You've been getting messages, he says before she can even speak. Her eyes widen. How do you know? I always know when someone's watching the people I care about. The word care lingers between them. Who are you really, Jahun? She asks softly. He doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he steps closer, his voice a whisper. Someone you shouldn't trust, but someone who will never hurt you. They talk for hours that night, about everything and nothing, about her dreams, his loneliness, and how the world seems to have decided who they both should be. When he tells her he likes her, she laughs nervously. You barely know me. I know how you look when you're trying not to cry, he says, eyes locked on hers. That's enough for me. She feels her heart stumble. Then maybe I like you too. From that moment, it's impossible to stay away. He brings her flowers, designer sketches, rare fabrics. Things she's too shy to accept but too touched to refuse. Mina watches, jealousy flickering beneath her playful smile. She says nothing, pretending to be supportive. But then, one morning, Aisha receives a package, no name, no note. Inside is a USB drive. Curiosity turns to horror when she plays the video. It's Jahun holding a gun, pulling the trigger and killing someone. She drops the laptop, her body trembling. When he arrives at the boutique that night, she's waiting for him. Eyes red, voice shaking. What are you, Jahun? Who are you really? He closes the door behind him, silence stretching thin between them. Then finally he speaks. I'm not who you think I am, he says quietly. I'm the head of the Soul Syndicate, the Mafia you've heard about. Tears fill her eyes, betrayal and love crashing all at once. You lied to me. He steps closer, his voice breaking. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you the truth. Because if I did, you would have run from me. Aisha's tears fall freely now, her heart torn between fear and the warmth she feels for him. Maybe I should have, she whispers. He takes her trembling hand and places it on his chest. Then why are you still here? She can't answer, because she already knows the truth. She's in love with the man she should fear the most. And outside, unseen, Mina watches from the shadows, her eyes filled with something far darker than concern. Aisha couldn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, all she saw was the gun in Jahun's hand, the blood, the sound of the shot echoing in her chest. Yet, when she remembered how he looked at her, how he spoke to her with a softness that didn't match his world, she couldn't hate him. She was furious. She had every reason to be, but she couldn't walk away.
Not yet.
When Jahun came to her boutique the next morning, the air changed. He didn't need to speak. The heaviness around him spoke for him. His usually calm face was shadowed with guilt, his hands tucked into his pockets like he was afraid of what they might do. I didn't mean for you to find out that way, he said quietly, his voice rough, almost broken. But I'm done with that world. I'm trying to leave it behind. Aisha crossed her arms, her voice trembling between anger and hurt. You can't just leave the Mafia, Jahun. That's not a job you resign from. I know, he said, stepping closer. But I'm trying. For you. Something inside her cracked. His words shouldn't have meant anything. She should have screamed, kicked him out, ended it all. But instead, she just stood there, her heart betraying her resolve. Don't say things like that, she whispered. You'll make me believe you. He reached for her hand, and even though her body screamed to pull away, she didn't. Then believe me, he murmured. Let me prove I can be better. That night, he walked her home. They didn't talk much, they didn't need to. The silence between them said everything. Fear, longing, confusion, love. He held her hand gently, as if afraid she might shatter, and for a brief moment, Aisha let herself forget everything else. The next day, Mina stormed into the boutique, her usual playful smile replaced with something heavier. She looked at Aisha for a long moment before speaking. Please, end this before it destroys you, Mina said, her voice low, almost motherly. Aisha frowned. You don't even know him. I know men like him, Mina replied softly. They always promise they'll change. They never do. Her words lingered, sharp as glass. Aisha wanted to believe Mina was just worried that she was being a friend, but something in her tone didn't sit right. That night, while Aisha worked late at the boutique, Mina found herself standing in front of Jahun's office. She hesitated for a moment, adjusting her coat before knocking. Jahun looked up from his desk, surprised. Mina? She smiled, stepping in. I thought maybe I should try to understand the man Aisha's risking everything for. He leaned back, wary. There's nothing to understand. She's better off without me. Oh, I don't think she'll believe that, Mina said, moving closer. Her perfume filled the room, sweet, intoxicating. She perched on the edge of his desk, her voice soft and deliberate. You don't deserve her, Jehun, but maybe you could have me. He froze, his eyes darkening. What are you doing? Just offering you something easier, she whispered, leaning close enough that her breath brushed his ear. Someone who won't judge you for what you are. Jehun stood suddenly, his chair scraping against the floor. Don't play with things you don't understand, Mina. This isn't a game. For a second, her mask slipped, humiliation flashed in her eyes, then fury. She forced a smile, straightened her coat, and said, We'll see who doesn't understand. Get out, he barked. Don't make me force you to. When she left, the office felt colder. Jehun didn't notice the faint scent of her perfume lingering near the window or the way she'd glanced at his phone before leaving. Later that night, Aisha sat at her sewing machine, trying to distract herself from everything. Her phone buzzed, lighting up with another anonymous message. He's not the man you think he is. Her fingers trembled as she opened the next one. And your best friend knows it? Listen to her. The phone slipped from her hand, crashing to the floor. For a long, silent moment, she just stared at it, her heart pounding, her world tilting once again. Somewhere deep inside, she knew the truth. Whatever this love was, it was about to become dangerous for everyone involved. The photos came in a plain white envelope, slipped under the boutique store early that morning. Aisha found them while sweeping the floor, and at first, she thought they were just another delivery from a supplier. But when she opened the flap and the glossy print slid out, her whole world tilted. Her breath caught. Her fingers trembled so violently that one photo slipped from her hand and fluttered to the floor like a dead leaf. Ji Hoan and his office, with Mina. One photo showed Mina sitting on the edge of his desk, smiling faintly. Another, her hand on his arm. The last, a shot taken at the perfect, damning angle, making it look like he was leaning in close, lips almost brushing hers. Aisha felt physically sick. The air in the room thickened. She could hear the hum of the air conditioner, the faint sound of traffic outside. Everything suddenly too loud, too real. The same man who said he'd changed, the same friend who said she was protective. Her phone buzzed on the counter, Jehun's name lighting up the screen. She stared at it until the call ended, tears blurring her vision. By the time Mina arrived 20 minutes later, pretending to be cheerful, Aisha was already shaking. Hey, Mina said softly, setting her bag down. You weren't answering my texts, so I got worried. Aisha threw the photos at her. They hit Mina's chest, scattering across the floor like broken glass. You told me he was dangerous. Aisha spat, her voice cracking. And now this. Mina froze, eyes darting to the photos. For a moment, just a moment, her expression faltered. But then, like a perfect actress, she gasped, pressing a hand to her mouth. Oh my God, she whispered, her voice trembling. Aisha, it's not what you think. Then what is it? Mina's lower lip quivered. Tears filled her eyes on command. He called me to his office, she said, her voice barely a whisper. He said he wanted to talk about you. I thought he was going to ask for help, maybe a way to fix things. But when I got there, she stopped, looked down, shaking her head as if reliving something terrible. He tried to touch me, Aisha. I told him to stop. I swear, I pushed him away. The sound that came from Aisha wasn't a sob. It was a strangled, broken thing. She stumbled back, grabbing the counter for support, her face pale as paper. No, she whispered. He wouldn't, Jehun wouldn't. But the photos were still there. Cold. Proof in color. Her heart didn't know what to believe, but her mind had already decided. By nightfall, Jehun's calls went unanswered. His texts, please talk to me. I don't know what happened. Let me explain. Were all left on read. Finally, Aisha blocked his number, her hands trembling as she whispered to herself, It's over. Across town, Jahun sat in his office, confusion etched into his face as he stared at the same photos someone had anonymously emailed him. He knew the truth. He remembered every second of that meeting with Mina, how she'd flirted, how he'd warned her to stop, but the angles, the timing, someone had set them both up. Whoever did this, he muttered under his breath, wanted her to hate me. He stood, determination hardening in his eyes. And I'll find out who. Meanwhile, in a small apartment filled with half-drawn curtains and the faint smell of jasmine candles, Mina sat cross-legged on the floor, scrolling through her phone. On the table beside her lay a small hidden camera, the lens still glinting faintly under the light. The same one she'd used in Jahun's office. She zoomed in on one of the photos, her hand on his sleeve, and smiled to herself. The editing had been perfect. Just enough blur, just enough light to turn truth into betrayal. Mina wiped the last of her crocodile tears from her cheeks and leaned back with a sigh of satisfaction. Now you see him the way I do, she whispered. Later that night, rain began to fall, soft and steady against the city's glass windows. Aisha was curled up on the couch, eyes red, when she heard a knock on the door. Her heart dropped. When she looked through the peephole, Jahun stood there, drenched from the rain, his expression desperate. Aisha, please, he said through the door. Just let me explain. It's not what it looks like. Her voice cracked as she shouted back, Go away, Jahun. I don't ever want to see you again. He flinched but didn't move for a long moment. Then, with a heavy sigh, he turned and walked away, his car headlights fading into the wet darkness. From the shadows across the street, Mina watched, her umbrella tilted low to hide her face. As the car disappeared, she smiled faintly, whispering to herself like a prayer and a curse all at once. Now I've finally achieved my mission. And with that, she turned and vanished into the night. The perfect friend, the perfect liar, leaving the perfect storm behind. Rain pounded the glass walls of Jahun's penthouse as the truth finally began to unravel. For 3 sleepless nights, his men had traced every breadcrumb. The anonymous email, the cloud storage that held the photos, even the hidden number behind the threatening texts. And every path led to one person, Mina Park. When the final report landed on Jahun's desk, his hands clenched into fists so tight his knuckles turned white. She was in your office 2 nights before the photos appeared, his right-hand man said quietly. She planted a micro camera near the bookshelf. The timestamps matched the doctored footage. Jahun's jaw tensed. And the threats. The same IP address. The same handwriting on the envelopes. He exhaled slowly, the kind of exhale that comes before a storm. She wanted Aisha to hate me. He stood, grabbed his coat, and headed for the door. Sir, stay back, Jahun said flatly. This one's mine. Mina's apartment was a clutter of perfume bottles, fashion magazines, and broken mirrors. Her mascara-stained face reflected a kind of madness that comes only from obsession. She heard the knock but didn't flinch. Instead, she smiled faintly, swirling her wine glass. I was wondering when you'd come. Jahun stepped inside before she could invite him. His expression was pure fury, controlled, deadly. You ruined her, he said quietly. You made her think I hurt her. Mina tilted her head, pretending to think. Ruined her? Oh, Jahun, no. I saved her. He took a step closer, his voice low and sharp. By lying. She laughed, a sound too brittle to be real. You think she deserved you? A sweet little foreign girl who still believes love can fix monsters? I warned her, Jahun. I told her what you were, but she wouldn't listen. She wanted danger, her smile twisted. Now she'll choke on it. Jahun's eyes darkened. You're sick, Mina. Oh, please. She set her wine down, standing now, her tone shifting from playful to poisonous. You made me this way. Watching you fall for her after everything I could have been. Do you know what that felt like? To see you choose her? He didn't answer. He just turned, disgust flashing in his eyes. That's when Aisha appeared in the doorway, soaked from the rain, her breath coming fast. She had followed Jahun, desperate to understand what was happening after hearing his men whisper the name that haunted her. Mina, her voice broke. You did this? Mina froze for just a second. Then she smirked, the mask cracking into something raw and ugly. Of course I did. You think he'd look at you if I didn't push him closer? You think he'd have cared? Aisha shook her head, tears blurring her vision. You were my sister. Your sister? Mina's voice rose to a scream. I was your shadow. You got everything, his attention, his pity, his love, and I got to watch you glow while I disappeared. She reached for something in her purse, a small pistol, trembling in her hand. Mina, put it down, Jahun warned, stepping forward slowly. But Mina's eyes flicked to Aisha, wild and wet with tears. You took him from me, so maybe I'll take him from you. The world slowed, a flash of metal, a deafening crack. Aisha screamed. But when she opened her eyes, Jahun was in front of her. Blood spreading across his shirt, his body crumpling to the floor. For a second, Mina looked horrified, like she hadn't expected to actually pull the trigger. Then she stumbled back, shaking, mascara running down her face in black rivers. Aisha fell to her knees beside Jahun, her hands slick with his blood. He tried to smile, weakly, painfully. You okay? She shook her head, tears falling freely. Why do you always save me? His fingers brushed her cheek, leaving a faint red smear. Because you are the only thing worth saving. And as sirens wailed in the distance and rain beat against the windows, Aisha held him tightly, whispering over and over, Don't leave me. Please don't leave me. Outside, the storm raged on, cleansing, cruel, unrelenting, as if soul itself wept for them both. The paramedics pulled her away when they reached the hospital doors, but she fought them, screaming until her voice cracked. Don't let him die. He was wheeled into surgery, the doors swinging shut behind him with a heavy thud that echoed through the sterile corridor. Aisha stood frozen, watching the red surgery in progress light flicker above. Her hands shook uncontrollably. Her mind was a blur. She pressed her forehead to the cold glass, her voice a whisper to the silent hallway. I've seen fear before, but not like this. Not when the price of love was his life. Outside, flashing lights lit the night. Mina screamed as the police dragged her away, her once perfect hair clinging to her face in streaks of black mascara. You think she deserved you? She shouted at no one, thrashing in their hold. She ruined everything. He was mine. Reporters shouted questions, cameras clicked, and the chaos swallowed her whole. She was shoved into a patrol car, still screaming Aisha's name like a curse. Inside the hospital, Aisha sat alone, her hands clasped so tightly that her knuckles went white. She didn't hear the noise outside, didn't feel the passing hours. Only the sound of the heart monitor beyond those doors echoed in her mind, the rhythm of his fading life. Days blurred into nights. Then one morning, the doctor came out with tired eyes and a slow nod. He made it. He's strong. Aisha's knees buckled. Relief and exhaustion washed through her as she stumbled into the corridor wall, tears spilling silently. When Jahun finally opened his eyes days later, he found her asleep by his bed, her hand clutching his. Her face was pale, streaked with sleeplessness, yet he smiled faintly. You didn't have to wait, he whispered. She blinked awake, eyes wet instantly. Then stop giving me reasons to cry, she said, her voice trembling somewhere between laughter and pain. He chuckled softly, then winced as the stitches pulled. She immediately leaned forward, fixing his blanket, afraid to hurt him. I told my father, he said quietly. I'm done. No more blood. No more shadows. Her eyes lifted to his. You'd walk away from all of it? For me. Jahun took her hand and placed it over his heart, weak but steady. I don't want to just survive anymore, Aisha. I want to live. With you. Her lips trembled before she leaned forward and kissed his hand. Then let's start there. Weeks passed. The world moved on, but their scars didn't. Aisha watched the news one morning as Mina's tear-stained face flashed on screen. Park Mina sentenced to 7 years for attempted murder and harassment. Aisha visited her a few months later, against everyone's advice. The correctional center smelled of bleach and silence. Mina sat on the other side of the glass, her once perfect nails chipped, her eyes hollow but searching. Do you hate me? She asked quietly. Aisha shook her head.
No.
Hating you would mean you still control me. I just hope you find peace. For a moment, Mina looked like the friend she used to be, small, broken, human. A faint, fragile smile touched her lips. He really did love you, she whispered. I know, Aisha said softly. As she walked away, Mina called out, voice cracking, I'm sorry. Aisha didn't turn back, not out of cruelty, but out of peace. For the first time in years, she could breathe. 6 months later, Seoul's evening lights shimmered against the river. Aisha and Jahun walked along the Han, fingers intertwined. His hand was warm and whole again. His smile, real this time. He stopped suddenly, reaching into his coat pocket. I have something for you, he said, handing her a small silver key. She blinked. What's this? Our new place, he murmured. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere the world can't touch us. She laughed softly, shaking her head, tears gathering in her eyes. You really mean it? He brushed her cheek with his thumb. I've never meant anything more. She wrapped her arms around him, resting her head against his chest as the city lights rippled across the river. Maybe love wasn't meant to be perfect, she whispered. Maybe it was meant to survive. He smiled, pressing a kiss into her hair. Then we survived, didn't we? That night, it rained again, the soft, forgiving kind of rain that falls when the world wants to start over. They shared one umbrella, walking slowly down the same street where they first met, the same glow of neon, the same echo of footsteps. Aisha looked up, smiling through the drizzle. The night you saved me feels like another lifetime. Jahun chuckled, pulling her closer. It was the night you saved me too. He kissed her forehead, and for the first time in years, the rain didn't feel cold. Love hadn't saved them from the storm. IT had simply taught them how to stand in it. And as they disappeared beneath the glow of Seoul's lights, hand in hand, the rain whispered against the ground, soft, endless, eternal. And beneath the storm, they found peace.